Hello, everybody. Today we have Christina Powell. She is the heroess of dogs in Calgary that are special needs with her company, SNARL Rescue. We have been severely obsessed, maybe too much, but we just love what you do for the dogs at Snarl. The way you post, the way you share, the way the fans of the dogs that you do support are supportive as well. You have built a community that supports like-minded, loving dogs. Like, I'm just in love with what you're up to. I can't share you enough on socials. So we want to get to know you, Christina. How the heck, where did you start in life to get to here? This is a big road for you.
It is a big road, Jill, and thanks so much for having me today. I mean, we always get so excited to tell people about Snarl, about the path of how we've gotten here, because it really has just snowballed from what was an individual passion project of a friend of mine's and myself, and then it's grown into this community of 250,000 people now advocating for dogs with disabilities across North America. And so I usually tell the story from a timeline of when I adopted my dog Timber. And Timber has a disability called cerebellar hypoplasia, which makes her wobbly when she walks.
Hmm.
And I had found Timber on TikTok. So I'm laying in bed one day. I'm scrolling. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I see this video of this German Shepherd with legs going all over the place who needs a home. And we had already adopted like a tripod cat and a blind cat previously. And I saw this dog on my phone and I'm looking at it and I was like, oh, that's my dog. Like I it was meant to be
Mm,
immediately, Jill. And so
yeah.
I then look over at my husband and I took everything I had not to wake him up in that moment and go, we're getting a dog. Um, so
Yeah.
I waited.
Not how the response you're gonna get, maybe what you want to with that
Not
timing.
the greatest, right? So I kind of have this anticipation building up at the time, and I I messaged this girl on TikTok, and I'm noticing that this video all of a sudden is getting hundreds of thousands, millions of views, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's in California. There's no way that me up in
Mhm.
Calgary, Alberta, Canada, is going to even get through to this lady, let alone adopt this dog. And we connected and we talked, and Timber came up to Canada and was adopted only 6 weeks later. And after that, it just started a partnership between the two of us with the stray population down here in the
Oh,
area
okay.
and in Canada, us having very different circumstances up here and just a great vet medical team at our disposal in the Calgary area. And so we started bringing dogs up from the California area. And along that journey, we heard about dogs down in Texas. And so we put out a call and said, we need somebody to help us out. And my co founder, Sarah, reached out from Colorado and was like, I would love to help with this. And
Mm.
that's how Sarah got involved. And so then she joined in and started helping from the Denver, Colorado side. And it really opened us up across the United States. And then we heard from another girl with a dog with cerebellar hypoplasia, Sam, who's out in London, Ontario. And she
Mm.
went, guys, I love what you're doing. I have a disabled dog. I work at the Humane Society. Like we have all these pups here who are just misunderstood and kind of overlooked the minute that disability is written on their fact sheet. And she was like, I want to get involved too. And she became our third co founder. And so the three of us now have formed this triangle across Canada and the US
Mm-hmm.
where we can now pull from all over both countries. And our foster network has branched out from us in all directions to span Canada and the US.
Oh, wow,
That's
babe.
how
That's
we've
so
grown over
huge.
time. And it's really been over social media that everybody's connected and our community, we call them our snarl village, and we really do feel like we're a little village now of supporters. It's been a really neat year. We're coming up on our first birthday on February the 3rd as snarl,
Oh,
so
I'll
that will be
promote you
officially
that day, big
20
time.
yeah, so that's
Oh my
kind of
God,
us
you
in a
guys.
nutshell and how we came to be. Yeah.
That's a lot of passion behind that. I'm looking at what you're doing. You, all three of you. And you're taking in like 10 dogs at a time and having to promote. Like, I think like people who are outside of this realm and they just kind of scroll and see a dog and go, oh, that's cool. But there's so much work that's put into it and time. You're putting money, you're putting finding the fostering, you're taking in the dogs sometimes if they can't, yourself. the spending of it and like the raising the money and the website and the posting, like it's a whole business.
It is.
But
It's a
to
whole
support
organization,
something,
right?
yeah, that's so like innocent and needs you. Like I've been kind of feeling like life is about dogs and family. It's not about celebrity and all the things. I don't care about this anymore. I want to make a difference. I've been just thinking in my mind like that a lot since I've seen you guys. I
Mhm.
don't even know how I saw Snarl. Like I can't quite remember, but I remember I've been thinking a lot. Oh, I really want
It's your
Rayleigh to
biggest
have another dog. So I've been looking a lot. And when I saw this character, okay, this fluffy little Australian mutt, I think he's
Australian Shepherd, yep, little moose.
Moose. We literally fell in love. Cry. I still cry when I see his videos. I'm very happy to see he's okay.
He
So,
is.
what happens when you get a dog just like Moose? What happened with that situation? How did you get him? How did we save him? How did the money come in? Like, let's talk about how it really works to save a dog.
Absolutely. And there's so much to it, right? Especially a dog like Moose who comes to us. Um, so Moose is a deaf blind Australian Shepherd. He's a double merle. So if you're not familiar with what a double merle is, it is part of the dilute coat patterning. So funny enough, often the colors of kind of what I'm wearing in the coat, and it
Hmm.
really neat spots for people to look at. Typically gravitates people towards these really beautiful dogs. But if you breed a mom and a dad that both have the merle gene, it can cause secondary complications, like
Oh,
blindness. And most breeders, or any ethical breeder, will not breed two merles together. So your double merles are often products of backyard breeding, uneducated breeding, things like that. So it's fully preventable. So
oh,
Moose was an accidental litter, so he was a direct surrender from the breeder to us, and they had found out about us and said, "Hey, I have a dog who we know is blind. Can we surrender him?" We said, "Of course, we will absolutely take him."
hmm,
So he drove about 6 hours to us, and as soon as we got him, I got a message from Sarah, our co-founder, and she went, "He's deaf. There's no way this dog can hear." And so then we went, "Oh, not only is he blind, he's deaf-blind." And so it opened up the realm for us to do tactile teaching to him and kind of all these different areas where we can now educate our community on deaf-blind dogs.
hmm.
And less than a week later, Moose started feeling sick. And so he started just he threw up one morning. And then about an hour later, he threw up again. And that's all that he had. But our spidey senses were tingling as a group, all three of us. And we went, I know he's a puppy. I know that we've kind of switched his food recently when he came in on intake,
Hmm.
but it just doesn't feel right. Um, let's take him in. And if worst comes to worst, they test him for a few things and they send us home saying, your puppy has an upset stomach. It's no big deal. Well,
Hmm.
he got to the hospital. First thing they did was a parvo test, and the parvo test came back positive.
Hmm.
And when I tell you, Jill, that all of our hearts sunk into our stomachs,
It's a death
um,
sentence kind of thing, is it? Sounds
it
like it.
can be, right? Like
Mm.
parvo is, it has a very high mortality rate, even with hospital level care. And so we knew that he was in the fight of his life. And sometimes you can do everything you can for these parvo puppies, and they don't always pull through. So we immediately admitted him right on the spot there, started him on supportive treatment. And for 5 days, he was hospitalized fighting really, really, really hard. He had a feeding tube at one point. We had to pump his stomach to get kind of all of the gunk that was building up from the parvo in there.
Hmm.
Um, Parvovirus itself actually attacks the GI tract. And so for a lot of these pups, they can pass of dehydration, they can pass of internal bleeding, um, and just GI symptoms that they get. So when we heard that we were looking at a platelet transfusion, we were looking at an NG feeding tube. We kind of knew that it was getting really serious for him.
We could tell
And
online
we
how
were calling
serious.
them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
every few. Yeah, and we try to be really transparent, right? When things are really good, they're really good in rescue, and when things get really tough, we try to give our crew the most transparency on that. And so we watched his hospital bill
Yeah.
go up by the thousands, really
Oh,
every day, and it just shot
I
her.
didn't think it's gonna
And so
happen,
every time
hun.
it went up, we
Yeah.
and well, and our community is incredible, and so this is one of those things where we went to our community and we went, we need you to trust us the way that you have before, in knowing that we think he's going to pull through. And we think that there's merit to these thousands and thousands of dollars being applied towards this little puppy. And sure enough, he made it. And so he came home on day 5 of hospitalization. And the vet was using words like rambunctious to describe him that morning, and said, he's up and he's barking at everybody that comes by his little crate area. And then he came home, and he's been wonderful since. He's acting like his normal self. He has no symptoms, doing everything that a puppy should be at this point.
That's so cool. It's like saving a life. It really is saving a life. I really feel that like a soul. I'm so proud of you girls for doing that. I remember going through, because this story is not just about Moose. It's about the struggle that you guys go through, each dog trying to save them. So it's like more just like the story of what you guys go through. But with Moose, right, watching him, I could tell like he's a bigger dog, right? So I felt like he's got some girth to him. He might be able to pull through, but I know with this kind of stuff, it really drains the life out of the dog a bit. It probably like takes a year or so off the dog's life, to be honest, in the end, because how hard that is on them. But whew, we're really proud of you guys for what you did, and it's amazing that you raised that much money in 5 days. Like daily, you guys were having to like getting sent, okay, here's some $20, here's this, here's that, people sharing. Like that's what I really wish the world would do for each other and people too. I
And I
just
think
don't see like what's going on with the world, is very different since COVID. And I just really think that what you guys are doing is an example of what people should do for each other and supporting each other in their life. And, it's a good
it's
example.
really neat. We shared some of the stories that people had sent us with their donations, and I think sometimes there's this underlying, almost like a stigma or an expectation that people are donating huge sums of money, and sometimes that's true, and sometimes we have large donors, but a lot of the time it's people donating $2 here, $5 here. We had somebody who messaged and said, "This is a little bit of my Christmas money," or younger individuals who said, "Here's a bit of my allowance for the week," and it's $2, and that's the stuff that adds up to be able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
pay these bills, right? So it really does take a community to kind of pull these pops through.
Well, what can we do as the community in Calgary, like you said, out in Colorado and Ontario? What can people do to actually get involved? Say they don't have money, but like with the sharing, like let's get more in detail about what are the things the dogs need. Maybe dogs need food sent to you guys. Like where are you guys? I think in Airdrie, yeah? No, Calgary?
We're in Calgary, so we're down in the deep south in Calgary is our
Okay.
here. But honestly, one of the best things that people can do is advocate, and especially people who have kids. Teach your kids about dogs with disabilities, right? Teach your kids about just advocating for people who are different than them. We take our dogs with wheelchairs out in the community all the time, and kids
Mhm.
are always curious, asking things. And they may say, "Oh, are his legs broken?" Take that minute to talk about disability and say, "No, you know what? This is a wheelchair. It helps her walk. She hurt her back, and now she's paralyzed." And kids are really, really absorbative and just like sponges to that information. And it
Hmm.
can help shape the way that they see disability as they grow up. So that's kind of our biggest thing that we
Oh,
try to,
that's a good example. Yeah.
like, look at how able these dogs are. Just because they look a little bit different, they might use wheelchairs, they may have another dog that helps guide them around if they're blind or things like that. um, they're still able to participate in all of the daily things that dogs can. So yeah, that would be my biggest kind of thing for Calgarians to do, or for anybody who's listening, watching, is just talk about it.
Cool. So when is Moose available for adoption? Everybody wants to know. How's he doing for that? What's
Everybody
that
wants to
process?
know. I feel like we've gotten several inquiries about, as you can probably imagine, he has been a
Oh, I bet
popular
he'll
living,
find a very good
both
home.
him and Duck. Yeah, so we are actually in the interview process for Moose as it stands. So
Okay.
we do have a few interested parties that we have moved forward with in that process, and then we'll be looking at it as soon as he's off of his kind of post parvo hold that we have him on, just to make sure that he's going to continue doing as well as he is. We are hoping to have an announcement soon after that.
Oh my gosh, would you? Would you tell the people who adopt Moose or when he is being adopted, will you do like a video for the fans? Like, I feel like I hope this person who adopts Moose will like post him and like maybe do lives with him and let people see him who really love Snarl, like finding him there, you
For
know.
sure.
I know that's so weird to ask
Always do
about.
announcements, so there will definitely be an announcement for them. And then for all of our Snarl alumni who have accounts of their own, sometimes the owners will opt to make them like an Instagram or a TikTok. We always share those as well so that people can continue to follow the ones that they love that come through there.
I know because you know some of the dogs, right? You see them like they got adopted. And then you see some of the dogs that like you wonder, well, what happened to them? They're not being promoted anymore. And then you go, oh, they're gone in life. It's so I don't what keeps your strength? Like honestly, you must have a strong mental capacity to hold like that emotion of wanting to cry and wanting to keep every dog that you see. How do you do it? How do you do
I
this job?
It's so this is such a double-edged sword, Jill, and this question comes up a lot. It often comes up in the context of, you know, how can you be a foster? I would have such a hard time letting go, right? And just I would love them too much. And I always kind of look at people and I think my head almost turns sideways where you know, we're not emotionless beings on our end either. We try to be really transparency or really transparent with the days where there are tears. You know, when Moose fell sick or when we've lost animals and just haven't been able to win that fight, that it is hard. But you look at we had 23 successful adoptions last year, and that's
Hmm.
23 dogs or cats that probably would not have had a happy ending, or even still be here realistically from a lot of the shelters that they came from if we hadn't taken the chance on them. So their stories and all of the day in and day outs of seeing dogs take their first steps after paralysis, right? Seeing dogs curl up on the couch for the first time after being held in just awful, awful abusive situations for
Yeah.
months or years. That's what keeps us going for sure, day in and day out. And there's no even real comparison for the hard days and the good days. It's just, there's so many great memories that we have made over the last year together. So
Yeah. You guys keep it positive. I know because in life, right, most people in life, I think on average have one to like three dogs. So I think that's like the statistic or something. So I feel like with um that feeling of like even having a kid, right? Like in life, like when you love something, you're gonna lose it. And it's just so hard to lose the animals. Like I just cry when I think about I don't know why I'm thinking about that part about the dogs, because I want dogs to live forever. But what you guys are doing is giving them a second chance at life. These dogs are however they're given to you, however the circumstance, and you say yes, like, you're just heroes to me. So if there's anything that we can do ever in a real way, we would love to do that. We're just sharing you online as much as we can, but we have to do something where we come to the shelter and do some photos, get more attention, maybe do like a meet and greet event where we get some of our magazine stars to come. I don't know. There's always this kind of thing I've noticed people doing like celebrities with the puppies and stuff. But I think like more awareness, that's awareness is the biggest thing because the puppies that have disabilities, they need you more. They're so good because they're so reliant on you. Like if you're like into that, that's what I suggest to people and people who really want a dog that's going to love them, not just be like a cat, like, oh, I don't need you. So they're just need everything and they will be a part of your life. So I just really recommend everyone to check out Snarls Rescue Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you know, to reach out. I feel like Christina, you're so easy to talk to, and you make everybody want to start fostering and adopting. I'm just saying.
and we always need fosters and adopters, so that's great. We're always kind of looking to expand our crew in that area too, and we
Yeah, you're looking for people to help foster. Yeah, let's get people going on that. I'm really feeling like we could make a push if we promote it for quite some time. You know, in a year, I could see us helping like at least save a few dogs. So
which is
that's our goal to help you guys in that way if we can.
I love that. And we're always out in the community too. So we always say, you know, if people will recognize us, come say hi. Or we have community events out in the Calgary, London, and Denver areas as well, where we do different events with the dogs at sometimes like pubs, sometimes we do pet stores. It just depends on where we're at in the community. So come
What's
out,
your
say hi.
next one?
we are doing a Valentine's Day photo shoot fundraiser at Pet Planet Southwood on February the 11th as our
We
next
will
one.
be there. We will
Awesome.
be
I
there.
love
Oh my God. We'll talk to you about that later. So, guys, check that out. All the exciting stuff coming up with Snarl. Your Instagram is so awesome. And you have the cutest puppies ever. So, just loving what you guys do. And thank you for taking the interview today.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to chat with me.